Thanks for staying with us. It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and we're being joined by our guest this morning that will be talking on the issue at hand. That is that Wike revokes PDP Secretariat land in Abuja. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has revoked the land rights of the People's Democratic Party's National Secretariat in Abuja. The revocation notice issued on March 13, 2025 cites the party's failure to pay ground rent for the past 20 years, from January 1, 2006 to January 1, 2025. This action was taken despite multiple public reminders for payment. The FCT administration highlighted that the PDP had repeatedly violated the terms of their land grant by neglecting to pay the annual ground rent. Notices were published in national newspapers and electronic media, urging the party to settle its debts. As a result, Wike's administration had decided to immediately take possession of the plot until the outstanding bills are fully paid. The revocation was made in accordance with the Land Use Act of 1978, which governs land administration in Nigeria. Our guest this morning is Mr. Jide Ologun, a lawyer, national advocate, or national development advocate. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be with you.
Okay, talk to us about this revocation of this land where you have the PDP National Secretariat.
You know, like you rightly mentioned, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has made demands. It's not just PDP alone. There are thousands others that are owing the government the ground rent. And of course, the decision he has taken in line with the mandate of the law and with reference to the Land Use Act 1978. And of course, when you talk about good governance, compliance with the rule of law is critical, and accountability is critical. And I think what has made this to hit the headline is because Wike himself is a stalwart in PDP. And I think that is a mark of leadership, that you are not biased, you are not mindful of the fact that I'm a member of this party and I will allow them to flout the law. Though I read a response from PDP that described the action as an attempt to stifle opposition and undermine democracy, and that it is politically motivated. But the simple question I need to ask is that, are you owing really? If you are owing, then that is serious, irresponsible behavior. By the special grace of God, I manage some of the properties under the ownership of the federal government across the country that they exercise ownership. And I mean, we make it a duty in our firm to monitor for our clients who own land within the federal government territories. We have ensured we have paid. In fact, right now, we have paid up to 2027. And that is the way to go. It's a responsibility. And I think this should be an interesting issue for us in the country. That those who even come out to say they are leaders, must be accountable. Sometimes we have read about government parastatals owing the electricity distribution company. It should not be held. So he has done it. And let me also say this. Even though the minister said that the ministry will move immediately to take possession of the party secretariat until all bills are settled, it should give the PDP the opportunity to come together and pay their bills. You pay their bills, or the government has the prerogative to, wipe the bills up for them. And I just want to ask also that the minister should also let the world know whether APC is owing. Because as we speak right now, when you talk of opposition, APC is the party that's on the other side of opposition. And interestingly, Wike himself has one leg in APC, another one in PDP. But basically, when you talk about leadership and the need for the nation to respect the rule of law, you must fulfill your civic responsibilities to the land.
Yeah, well, loyalty to any of those parties is a debatable thing for Wike, whether he's more in the APC without carrying a card or is still in the PDP and working for the best interest of the party. But that's not the issue for today. You said that the PDP, People's Democratic Party, should be given the opportunity to decide, to come together and decide to pay their bills. Was that not the opportunity that, if what he said is true, that it was published in national dailies, hard copies and electronic media and all that, was that not the opportunity enough for the PDP to have done the needful? Or what other opportunity do they need to be given?
Yes, what we say is that hitherto he has provided that opportunity. But from what I read, and it stated clearly that the ministry will henceforth take immediate possession of the Secretariat until all bills are settled. So the gate is still kept open for PDP to settle the bills to the government. Perhaps if PDP is the one in control of the Nigerian government administration, then it may be overlooked. And that is why I also brought in that challenge that Wike should also let us know the status of APC if they have paid off their own, from the report rolled out, for 20 years. They've been owing, and that should be a remarkable amount of money that should have gone into the coffers of the government. And again, let me say this, I think I want to appreciate the fact that Wike is even bringing out this issue to the front corner, because when we started reading about this default, even the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, was mentioned as one of those with properties in Abuja that have failed to fulfill their contributory obligation to the government. So if we have high-profile personalities who intend to own lands in the Federal Capital Territory, then they must be responsible to pay to the government what is due to the government. That is one of the areas of revenue leaking.
Okay, just that some Nigerians, maybe out of sentiments or something, but the timing of this thing is not that good. The revocation of this land title by the PDP almost coincides with the state of emergency that has been declared in Rivers State, which I hope that you can mention a little bit later on this show. But my question is, how can an institution like that be allowed to hold a particular piece of land, or hold government money, as it were, for 20 years without any repercussion? How was that able to pass through the fingers of the authority that PDP or any other person that has been indicted in all these debts to the federal government? How could they pass through the fingers of the authority and not be caught and made to pay for 20 years? It seems we have lost the audio of our guest this morning, but we're talking about the revocation of the PDP Secretariat lands in Abuja by the FCT minister. And I was just wondering, and I was asking him, I wish that he could still hear me and talk to me. How can it happen that someone would be owing the federal government for 20 years without any repercussion? Nobody holds them to account. If after the first 2-3 years they had defaulted and somebody spoke something out, maybe at this time we wouldn't have been hearing this. But for 20 years, somebody defaults, somebody doesn't pay rent, and is still there. I wish my landlord would be that magnanimous to me so that I don't pay rent for 20 years and it keeps quiet. But this is really troubling. We're not only finding this in the land titles that we've had in Abuja where they had to be revoked rather, and we're not only finding that in Abuja. We're seeing where electricity distribution companies or the power holding company is being owed billions of naira by government establishments. And I'm wondering, I said it during the off the press, how can that happen? If individuals are being chased around to pay their bills and the federal government is owing power holding company to billions of naira, I just wonder how this happens. Is it just that if you are in government, you think you're above the law, you cannot do anything? You'll be running after the other people who make peanuts compared to you as a federal government. You can't even pay your own we call them NEPA bills at all. You cannot pay your own bills of any kind, and you're still functioning, and you're making money from the people. Then it just doesn't make sense to some of us, but that's where we are. Possibly PDP being in power for a very long time. 20 years means that it was 5 years before the arrival, so to speak, of the APC that they stopped paying, because APC came on in 2014 thereabouts, won the first election in 2015, and they're still at the helm of affairs still now. So for about 10 years now, okay, 10 years before that time, because APC is 10 years or 11 years at this moment. So they stopped paying bills 10 years before APC came on. And that means, how old is our democracy again? Democracy is almost 26 years now. So out of the 26 years, for the last 20 years, you have been owing, meaning that for 6 years, that's the only time that you were paying the rents, 6 years out of 26 years. So it's a very troubling thing. Not just for PDP, not just for political parties, because I'm not sure that request by our guests that they should also publish whether the APC has paid their money will ever be granted. We will never know that, maybe until APC leaves office or leaves the stage at the center. We may never know. Or even if they are owing, maybe at this point, so that they will have a good name, somebody might just say, okay, let us forgive their debts, or since we're in power, let's mop up some money and then pay our own rents as well. But they have been in power for about 10 years. So if they're owing all this time, that means it's 10 years. For the PDP, they've been owing for 20 years. And that's really troubling. If high-profile individuals and institutions will be owing, then how much more the other people? So we're learning from the best, as it were, and this shouldn't be. We should copy our leaders and see that they're doing the right thing, and then we will have no reason not to do the right thing. Well, it's unfortunate that we could not rejoin our guest to continue talking to us and to throwing more light on what we needed him to talk about. But we'd like to thank him even while he's away, Mr. Jide Ologun. He is a lawyer and a national development advocate. We're hoping that he could return and rejoin us when we'll be discussing Rivers State and what has happened in Rivers State, so that he can give us a legal perspective. But whether he rejoins us or not, we are grateful to him for his thoughts this morning. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll be looking at the Rivers politics and the fact that there's been a state of emergency declared in Rivers State. Stay with us.